Hi, Hilary Walczak here from the Grove City College Archive. As you probably assumed, we're going to be talking about our beloved mascot, Willie the Wolverine. For most Grove City College alumni, Willie the Wolverine has always been a part of their Grove City College student life experience. Whether it's seeing him at a football game, riding in a homecoming parade, or giving him a high five, Willie the Wolverine seems to have always been around. However, we have not always been the Wolverines, and Willie the Wolverine has not always been our mascot. Starting back in 1798, when the town of Pine Grove was founded, wolves were very common to this area. Wolves also congregated around the creek that ran through town, hence the name Wolf Creek. So it'd be more assumed that we would have adopted the wolves as our mascot. We did not adopt the wolves right away, and we didn't even adopt crimson and white as our colors right away. Initially, we played around with the idea of being blue and white. It was in 1892 that we first adopted crimson and white as our colors due to the football coach, Morgan Barnes. Morgan Barnes was a local boy who attended Pine Grove Normal Academy, now Grove City College. And after he graduated from Pine Grove Normal Academy's prep school, he went on to Harvard University, where his love of crimson and white first began. He returned to be our first football coach in 1892, and although he only coached 1 year, his legacy remains because we are still crimson and white to this day. It's in 1911 that the college first associates itself with wolves. We add 3 wolf heads to our shield, and that is due to the proximity to Wolf Creek as it flows through campus. Even then, we're really only referred to as Crimson or the Crimson Wave or the Grovers at this time. It's in about the 1920s that we start seeing ourselves being referred to as the Wolves or the Wolf Pack. It's in 1926 that we see the first mention of Wolverine. Why we switched to Wolverine, we have no idea, but these were used interchangeably for years. It's also in the 1920s that we have an unofficial mascot, Pale the Bulldog. From 1922 to 1934, Pale the Bulldog, who was owned by Mrs. Walter King, who lived in town, he came to all of the games and served as our little unofficial mascot. This is a time when most colleges and universities are starting to play around the idea of having a mascot, and a lot of them are using live animals. Even though we had Pale for about 12 years, we still never were referred to as the Bulldogs. We still remained the Wolves, the Wolf Pack, or the Wolverines. It's going into the 1930s, 1940s that we really see Wolverine becoming more and more prominent. In World War II, a Wolverine newsletter was written by the students. It was a newsletter that combined all the letters from the servicemen and women who were overseas fighting the war, and they put it in a newsletter so they could send it out to them as well, so everybody knew what was going on campus. In 1948 is when we see the first introduction of our beloved Willie the Wolverine at the homecoming game. Richard Beidler, class of 1951, was our first Willie the Wolverine. He rented a costume from 1948 to 1950 of a wolf. And yes, he was very aware that wolves and wolverines are different animals. It's in the 1949 yearbook we see a caricature of a wolf-like creature coming out of the Grove City College shield and an inscription that gives the introduction to Willie the Wolverine. 'Tis said, when first this college came to be, a powerful wolverine came out of the north to lie in the shades of our campus, to protect and keep eternal vigilance over all those who call themselves Wolverines. 'Tis said and 'tis true, for here he is, meet Willie the Wolverine. Beidler rented a costume from a local store in town from 1948 to 1950, but it was in 1950 he decided that Willie needed an upgrade, and he really wanted to add a little bit of a theatrical flair to Willie. His idea took him door to door throughout the town looking for a fur coat. Eventually, a woman was willing to donate her old gray fur coat to him, and this was the inception of the Willie costume. He took a helmet to create Willie's head. He put flashlight bulb eyes, a red rubber nose, and he even put pipes in the ears so that they would blow smoke. In 1951, when Beidler graduated, he wanted Willie the Wolverine to live on, so he handed down the costume to his close friend, Richard A. Morledge, class of 1954. Now that name might sound familiar to you because yes, Dr. Morledge was our former Dean of Chapel as well as Trustee Emeritus of the college. Also in 1951, the Student Government Association didn't want to lose Willie the Wolverine either. So they made a petition, had it signed by students, and had a charter written up, signed by President Weirseek Hetler, to have Willie the Wolverine forever be our mascot. From then on, Grove City College athletics were known as the Grove City College Wolverines. We have had many Willie the Wolverines over the years, whether it's the gray Willie the Wolverine of the 1960s, even the cartoon-esque Willie the Wolverine from the 1990s, often nicknamed the Chipmunk, or our new Willie the Wolverine, who was introduced in 2006 and is more realistic to a Wolverine. Willie the Wolverine will always be a symbol of sportsmanship, good-spirited, and good-natured friendliness. Richard Beidler passed away in 2016 at the age of 88, but his legacy of Willie the Wolverine lives on to this day. Many people have worn the suit of Willie the Wolverine, and as a good mascot knows, you don't reveal your true identity. So we actually don't have a lineage of who has been Willie the Wolverine over the years. So that's where you come in. If you happen to have been Willie the Wolverine while you were in college, or you know who was Willie the Wolverine, please send us those details to collegearchives@gcc.edu. And if you just want more history about Grove City College and fun facts, follow us on Instagram @GCC Archives. And as always, Wolverines together.